Okay, we have John Meunier here, bodybuilder, fireman, is about to open up a pressure washing company. There's a lot to go over here real quick.
Jack of all trades, I guess.
Man of many hats, right?
Too many sometimes.
Right. Okay, well, so we'll start with the bodybuilding, and you can look up. I mean, you're definitely big and still big.
Yeah, to most, but I don't know.
Okay, so how old were you when you decided you wanted to get into competition or bodybuilding in general?
Yeah, I started training when I was probably about 17. I was a junior in high school. I grew up north in Buffalo. Played, team sports my whole life. So it was probably junior year where I was like, our team sucked, to be honest. The hockey team I was on, we sucked. And I was like, this just stinks, and as I wanted to go on college playing hockey and stuff, people are like, oh, you need to be bigger. You could get a scholarship if you were a little bigger. I was a skinny little kid. And I was like, all right, you know what? I got to find something I could do. So I started training at my local gym up there and, just caught me by, the fire, I was just like, man, I love this. Because I controlled everything.
Right.
I didn't have to worry about teammates showing up. This guy does show up. This guy not playing today, whatever. So
hockey was actually your thing.
Hockey, I played almost every sport, but hockey was my main sport.
Really? And that was up north, so it's huge up north.
Yeah. You can play it year-round up north. Different than where we are now here in Florida. Down here, baseball's year-round, football's year-round, all the other sports. But up there, hockey you played in the summer,
So you're playing hockey, you're playing other sports, and you just get sick of it because you have to depend on other people, kind of.
Pretty much.
So then you start training and you enjoy it, but you're not thinking I want to be a bodybuilder.
No.
Or are you?
No, I wasn't even. I was just like, all right. Coaches in hockey said I need to get bigger. I have more size. Here I am. I was doing the old school Rocky Balboa, Arnold Schwarzenegger, drinking raw eggs. My mom thought I was crazy. You're going to get sick. And she's a nurse. She's like, I'm not taking you to the hospital.
Yeah.
But I was doing it all and still couldn't put on weight. But, from the first time I stepped into the gym, I was like, man, I control all of this. If I don't show up, it's on me. When I do show up, it's on me, Not like, hey, this guy didn't play today or this guy didn't show up at the game today. So for me, it was like I had full control. So that's why I liked.
You fell in love with it. And then, how hard were you going? I mean, you were doing the Arnold egg thing.
Yeah.
So you must have been pretty.
I was trying to find out, man, I was a lone wolf in the gym, and growing up there was a couple big guys, and I was like, man, how do you guys get this big? Without it really asking them, just try to feed in a little bit and train with them a little bit, but it just took time, I still was skinny. I could eat everything and anything and still be skinny.
Right.
But for me, it was just one of those things, I loved doing it. I had no ride. I'd walk in the snow up there to the gym, and Mom would drop me off. I'll be back in 2 hours. Okay.
Now, were you watching what you ate a lot, or were you just trying to eat everything because you had such a fast metabolism? You were just trying to gain, right, at the time?
When I was a kid, I was just eating everything and anything, and that's a buddy of mine that I went to school with was a big guy, and he's like, man, you got to, get this and this supplement and that supplement. None of them seemed to work, and that's when, honestly, creatine first came out, and I think it was for 300 grams, $150, and I'm like, man, $150, Mom, can I borrow some money?
Was that back in the Bill Phillips EAS days? Yeah.
You know it.
Yeah.
EAS, Bill Phillips, Dan Duquesne or Duchesne, however you want to say it.
Yeah, it was EAS, right?
Yep.
And then Muscle Tech.
Metrics.
And then who made Xenadrine?
That
was the other company.
Those were all those big companies, and the Bill Phillips had the book, and
I had that book. He was on it with the black shirt.
Yeah. And I was like, man, how do I get like this? And it was creatine and phosphagen and this and that, and I'm like, I'm buying them all. It's got to work.
So I was, when that book had come out, I was in maybe 11th grade.
Yeah.
And I got an in-school suspension. My mom was a teacher, right? I don't even know what I did, threw something in a classroom or something. Yeah. So I got a week in-school suspension. And basically you have to just sit in that room, and the only thing you could do is read.
Yep.
So, and I was trying to get bigger too. So I was taking the creatine. This is what I was taking. The creatine. You'll probably remember more than me. I was taking creatine with the Cytovol. Is that what it was called? It was like orange.
The phosphagen. Yep.
Phosphagen. Everything you were saying in that book.
Yeah.
Because I read it like 10 times in that week. So I was taking the creatine, the Cytovol.
There was like triple X stuff or XX stuff.
Yeah, it was X. There was like 3 or 4 things, and then
Ultimate Orange.
Ultimate Orange for
That's
energy, right? Ultimate Orange for energy. Xenadrine during the day, and then I was eating all that protein.
Yep.
Because remember EAS had the creatine with the protein in it. I think, right? The lime one,
and they had you got to load it. You got to load the creatine 5 times a day, and your stomach's a mess.
Bro, I got huge.
Yeah.
I went from, because I was like fast metabolism too, so I couldn't get past like 140.
Yeah.
And at the time, the girl I was with, she was into like bigger guys, right? So I'm like this like skinny twerp, you know? But dude, I took that creatine blew me. I looked like a balloon.
Yep.
You know, but I mean, I blew up and got strong.
That's when it was like real creatine from Germany or wherever they.
Yeah.
Now it's all China.
Yeah, it was real creatine, real protein shake. It wasn't
all the crap they have.
Cake powder.
Yeah,
you know.
exactly.
I ended up running into a couple guys later. You know,
Yeah.
later in life, and he was telling me, you know, as time went on, that most of the protein shake that you go and buy, because as you know, it's not FDA regulated.
Oh, yeah.
It's literally cake powder.
Yeah.
And then you blow up and you get big, but you're just eating cake powder.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of calories in it.
Yeah, I know just a year or two they did a study where all these companies got hit and they tested them all and they're all like, label said 23, 25 grams of protein. It was like 8. They're like, you might as well just drink Nestle Quick chocolate milk.
Yeah.
I mean, that's better than this.
And who was the one that just got the vitamins or the supplements? They were actually in Walmart, and they just got hit.
There's
this
game is so huge now. It's back when we started. There was Muscle Tech, like you said, Metrics. You know,
there was really 5. There was 5. I don't even think Ultimum.
Yeah, Ultimate Nutrition. That was like GNC's brand.
No, Ultimum. Is it called Ultimum?
Optimum. Yeah,
that's a big one. Right?
Optimum was big. But they all had like their quirks.
Yeah.
Optimum was like protein and some creatine
but they were known for the best protein.
Yeah.
The best protein shake. EAS was known for the best creatine and with the sugar.
Yeah.
Because remember they had the white
lime
creatine.
one.
They had the white creatine.
Yep.
That was just plain, and you could put it in anything. And then they
had
had
the Gatorade flavor.
Yeah, and then they had the creatine that was flavored with a ton of sugar.
Yep.
And that just blew me to the moon.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I was just a walking balloon. Like, you could probably pop me. I had so much water in me.
And when I first got the creatine, I bought it at my gym. So, of course, it was probably jacked up price-wise. It literally just said creatine, monohydrate. And I'm like, well, how do you do this? And the guy's like, you got to take it with warm grape juice that absorbs it. Man, my stomach was so messed up. I'm like, I'm going to the bathroom every time I drink this stuff. I don't know if it's a diuretic or a muscle builder because I don't see it.
So how old were you when you started taking the creatine and all that stuff?
I was probably 17, 18. I was probably right around 18 because I started at the gym like 17. Started like really getting involved like 18.
Yeah.
But like I said, I was doing the creatine and just, man, what's the next thing,
Yeah.
Going to GNC and like, well, I can't afford that, you know? Bob, what can I do?
It was the price.
Oh, yeah.
So jacked
I mean, as compared to what they are now, like I said, I paid $130, $150 for 300 grams of creatine.
Yeah.
Just plain creatine. I'm like, now you can get it for pennies.
Yeah. And then so you start working out hard and everything. And then when did you decide that you were going to actually consider competing?
My first competition, I was up in college. One of my buddies was a competitor, firefighter. So I was like, hey, if I'm training all this time and
you want to put that down on the ground just because it's going to keep buzzing, drive me nuts on the.
So I'm like, might as well be something. If I'm going to train this hard, let's try it. So he sort of knew diets and directed me in the diet phase. So I was 20, 21, somewhere around there.
So you did it. So you had a trainer from once you decided to do it, you did have some type of trainer?
Yeah, he wouldn't like I'd train with him when I was down here. I went away to college. I was up in the University of Florida, but he would always change my diet. Okay, here's your diet for the week, the old school style. Here you go. And when I come home for the weekend or whatever, I'd get with him and train. And I think I was 21. Stepped on stage at a local show, won my class. Actually, my first show was up there at the University of Florida. I did like a Gainesville bodybuilding show. Won my class, the overall, my division, everything. I was like, man, I did pretty good, you know?
So they have different classes?
Yeah, different weight classes. Now there's so many.
at that time, what was the weight classes? Do you remember?
I was a light heavyweight. I want to say light heavyweight or a middleweight.
So how much is that?
I came in at like 185, 190. So I don't know what the range is.
Was that so? That was kind of like middleweight.
Yeah, it was probably middleweight.
And then you have the big, huge, gigantic guys. And then you have the tinier guys, right?
Yeah. Now you got super heavyweight, heavyweight, light heavyweight. It's, you know, and so I competed up there, won my classes. I was like, man, this is pretty fun, you know?
Yeah.
Because, like I said before, you're controlling everything. It's you working out. It's you dieting. Came back home after I graduated, did another show here locally, won my class. I don't think I won the overall. I think I lost the overall, but I was like, man, I'll do this again.
Now, did you win money or just a trophy?
Just a trophy.
Okay.
These were like local amateur shows.
Yeah.
And then you would, if you did certain shows, you can qualify for nationals. So I qualified for nationals, never did it. I think it was like 23, 24. I was still always in the training, but you know, got the girlfriend and entered that lifestyle. But I still trained like I was going to compete. I just never did until later on.
So then you do that, you win that, then you get the girlfriend, so then you kind of slow down.
10 years. 10 years.
10 years of just basically working out. No trainer.
Yep.
No nothing. But were you training people then? Or
I had a part-time job. Well, I was actually training people. That was my full-time job at the time.
Okay.
I was training people at a gym, and you know, all my clients were like, well, why don't you do those shows or whatever they do, you know? And it just, I was like, yeah, you know, I'll do it again one day. You know, I got the family life, the girlfriend, you know, whatever. And then it was probably, I think I was, like I said, early 30s. And I had a buddy like, man, you need to do it again. And I was like, okay, we'll figure it out. We'll go for it again.
Now, do you have any kids at this time?
I have one daughter. Yep.
Okay. So in that 10 years with the girlfriend, you're also raising a daughter.
Yeah. So the girl I was dating, we ended up getting married. She got pregnant, had the baby. So pretty much that 10 years was 10 years of exercising with her, raising her, driving me crazy. But like I said, I went to the gym because that was like my stress relief. Still is.
It was like your outlet,
yeah.
right?
Yeah. I mean, like, you know, everybody has their outlet, whether it's shopping or whatever, cars. Mine was the gym, and, you know, it's either that or go crazy.
So then you meet, everybody's saying you need to compete again, you need to compete again.
Yep.
And then what do you do from there?
I want to say I was early, it was 2012, stepped back on stage. Had a professional bodybuilder helping me with my diet who I'd paid. Wasn't a good experience, not on my behalf, but, you know, it's a crazy industry. So he was just sort of like, not to be weird, just half-assing it, you know, like, here you go. Here's your diet. Nah, you look good. Cool. Next, you know.
Right.
And I went to a bigger show that was here locally, but it was a big show, and placed fourth. And then actually, funny story is the guy that placed first in that class, him and I are really tight now.
Yeah.
You know, I went to him and I was like, dude, you look phenomenal. Who's your coach? And he's like, oh, this guy. It's a local guy. And we just hit it off. And I was like, listen, I don't want to step on your toes. I know it's your coach. If there's any way you can hook me up, cool. If not, I totally understand. Like, it's a weird industry, you know. People want to share coaches or anything. So he hooked me up, and then I competed again in 15. Went to a national show, did well there. I was top 5.
Where was that one at?
That was South Carolina. So I competed again here locally, qualified for a national show, went to the junior nationals, which was in South Carolina, got top 5 there. And then I was like, okay, that's good. I'm good. And then took a little break again and right back at it. It's like that, you know, lost love, you know. You keep going back.
And now when you're training like that or getting ready for that, like South Carolina, these bigger ones, how much of a mental and emotional toll does that take on you?
It's a beating.
Is it really?
I don't mind it personally. It is tough. It's tough when you're trying to hold a job and, you know, work and stuff. I mean, you got to have good coworkers, understand, like, hey, he's got to eat at a certain time, you know. The hardest part is relationship-wise. Not everybody understands that side and, like, well, we could go out to eat. You could eat healthy. I'm like, no, I need to eat X, Y, Z. Like, if I can eat this, we can go out to eat and have sushi and have whatever. I have no problem doing that. And I did that later on in my bodybuilding career. Like, I would eat my meal and then go out with my wife and daughter and still sit with them while they ate. I just sat there with water.
Did you really?
Yeah. So, I mean, I made sacrifices, but they made way more sacrifices than I did.
Right.
So
because you couldn't even, because you're competing at a national level now. So now everything matters. Yeah. Right. So you can't go out to Outback Steakhouse because you don't know what seasoning they're putting in it. Yep. You don't know how they're cooking it. And when your body fat's that low or you're getting ready for a competition, any little thing can throw that off.
And that was the thing I had with my coach later on. I was like, no salt, no this. Now my coach is total opposite, you know?
Yeah.
And he's awesome, the guy I have now. But it was like you go out to eat, like, okay, I can have water. And, you know, it probably destroyed partially my relationship, but, you know, that's a decision I made and something, you know, you got to go with. But it was just one of those things like, I'm going for this. And I'm the type of guy, like, if I'm in, I'm all in. I know a lot of guys are like, oh, well, you can have a little bit of here and a little bit of there. Like, it's not going to kill you. But that's, to me, if I come in second place, I look at it as like, maybe there's that breadstick I had. You know?
So you'll look back and just in your mind, you'll think, damn, when I went to the Olive Garden, I shouldn't have ate that breadstick.
Yeah.
I mean, does that sometimes actually make a difference?
It could. I mean, in my mind, it could.
Right. And I
Does
guess
it really? I don't know. But,
right, but I guess that's all that really matters, right? Because you kind of have to live with it.
Yeah. And that's what it is. It's like I have to live with it if I come in second versus first.
Yeah.
And the other thing is like, you know, my coach, I'm looking at him like, I'm lying to him. Hey, you doing everything I told you? Yeah, I'm doing everything you told me. When he probably knows or doesn't know or whatever. If he's that good, he knows.
Yeah.
Like my guy now, the coach I have now, he knows.
Now, aside from it taking like a mental toll and emotional toll, and like I understand that part of a relationship toll, but I know like if I'm dieting too hard, and I'm not big or anything, but I've been up and down, nowhere near you. So I'm not even trying to compare myself even close to you.
I agree, everybody. Yeah,
I know, like, you know, you get moody.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
So how much of a toll? Not only just like you can't go out to dinner, how much of a toll does it take on a like the intimacy of a relationship or the affection of a relationship?
It takes a strong, this is what I tell my girlfriend now. I go, it takes a strong individual, and thank God she's in that. Like she works out hard. She diets, you know. She competed once. If she competes again, I don't know. That's her decision. But you really have to understand this game because it will make or break a relationship sometimes. And you know, I know for me, if you don't have that partner that understands it and can deal with it, or, you know, it will break you, you know, and like I said, I've had that where I'm tired. Just leave me alone, you know, or I haven't had a cheat meal in 4 weeks. Leave me alone. I'm angry.
Right.
And most of the time it's not angry of angry at them. It's just mentally angry.
Right.
I'm hungry. I'm starving.
So if your girlfriend or your wife, or if they can't understand that you're not angry at them, it's just you're hungry, you're tired, you haven't had sugar.
And it's women. Come on.
Yeah, right.
You
right.
know.
Oh,
listen, so they take everything personal. I'm like, listen, it's not you. It's me. I'm hungry today. I did this. I had to train this harder, whatever. But it's always like, well, is it me?
Let me ask you a question. When you say it's not you, what was the answer you got to that?
You're the one that chose this. That's usually what happens is, well, you're the one that's doing this to yourself. I'm like, yeah, I understand that.
Just what you want to hear when you're already miserable, right?
Yeah. And it's like, it's like
pouring gas on a fire.
In all seriousness, I look at it like a military guy. Like, you join the military, you know what you're going to get into. You know what the possibilities are. And I know what the possibilities are. I'm going to be hungry. I'm going to be angry. I'm going to be tired. Just like a military guy, he may go to war. He might have to go do this, and he might be away from his family and X, Y, Z. I chose that. And those are the decisions I had to live with, and I do. But, do I regret them? Maybe.
Right.
But you live and die. It's like any other decision, If I take this job and have to move away, was it the best decision? Maybe, maybe not.
Right.
But we all learn, and, you live and learn, and you move on.
So you got fourth in South Carolina,
Uh-huh.
and that was a Nationals one?
Nationals, yep.
Now, do you get paid for that?
No,
Okay.
but it was just a nice
Does the
trophy.
winner get paid?
No, winner of that, actually, I don't know how it's set up now for the junior nationals, but I think even junior nationals, like even if you win it, you don't get paid, you don't get anything. You go to the next step, the national show. It's just more, hey, we seen your face, you're more recognizable. Next step.
So when do you make money? Where do you have to get to actually make money?
This day and age, to be honest, like it's because I've worked in the supplement industry and worked for a company that, we didn't pay any of our athletes. We didn't have that type of money at the time. But it is back in the day, all the big names made money. The big pros, if you were just middle of the line pros, you probably made some money or at least got free stuff. Now it's with social media and the way things are, it's not always who's the best, it's who's the most marketable. So you got a good-looking guy that's shredded and looks great and, he can sit in front of a camera and, man, he might not even be a pro. He might not even be anybody other than he's a good-looking guy, good-looking girl. They're marketable. We're going to pay them.
With like endorsements?
Endorsement money, free supplements, A lot of these guys do make, they don't make a lot of money, not to my knowledge, unless you're like those top elite guys. But you can just based on your name and who you are, and they train people and, So it's definitely, I've seen it from the time I started bodybuilding, get into that game, I guess you would say, to now it's totally different.
Night and day.
Yeah, and like I said, I work for the sports industry, and even back then it was like, hey, we need a person to talk for us, and we need a spokesman, and who should we pay? Who should we not pay? And now it's, if you don't want to do it for this, we got the next best person, who might be Joe Smith,
Yeah.
But he looks good. He's shredded. He's a good-looking guy. We'll pay him.
So it's really a tough industry nowadays to really make it as a source of income.
It is. There's just the internet, the way everything, the social media. It's just they can find guys anywhere across the world.
Yeah.
That are willing to do it for less,
And do you think that there's any bodybuilders that are competing nationally that aren't on steroids?
It's a hard question for me to answer, but
yeah.
Just the guys I know, no.
Yeah.
I'm not saying all of them do to the extent of what other guys do, but it's definitely one of those subjects that's still like keep that on the low key.
Yeah.
You can ask somebody and they're like, next question.
Yeah.
It's like court, next question.
Because they're holding up like a Muscle Tech bottle saying, yeah, I take this Muscle Tech, but they're 310 pounds with 2% body fat, right?
I mean, I think nowadays people are smarter. They're like, yeah, there's no way.
Yeah, just say it.
Yeah, that guy's a genetic freak. That girl's, she shouldn't look like that. That's not your typical, not to say there is those freaks, but
very
typically,
rare.
yeah, you're not going to have that girl, she's shredded and, looks great.
Yeah.
But I just take this vitamin.
Take this creatine and vitamin C, and you know what? You'll look dry and you have every cut coming out, and wow, you have veins. Wow, you're very vascular.
Yeah, it's all my diet. It's all my diet.
Oh, really? Yeah. And what's your diet, honey? Can I have that to
yeah,
sell
it's definitely a different world these days in that industry.
So now you place 4th in South Carolina. Now, do you take a break or do you just keep going?
Yeah, I took a
hard?
break. Like I said, I went back to just finding myself at the time. To be honest, I went through my divorce, so I was just like mentally wasn't there. Just let's figure this out. Let's get this done with. And to be all honest, it was after my divorce. My head still wasn't in it, but I had a buddy that was like, man, listen, you just got too much going for you. You should compete again. I'm like, no, I'm not going to compete again. I'm done. Like, I destroyed this over here. Could have destroyed my relationship with my daughter. So I'm like, I'm done.
When you were going through your divorce, did you stop working out? Did it have you beat up, or are you still were training?
Yeah. I mean, I would go to to be honest, I would go to the gym and like sit there. It was just more of like a social factor for me at that point.
Like going through the motions, kind of? Yeah.
Like I go there, do a couple things. I was like, my mind is elsewhere.
Yeah.
But I had a good buddy that was like, listen, this is what you love doing. It'd be no different than if you're a car guy and like building cars. Like, you need to go back to your roots and figure out what drives you. Because you need to take your mind off that. That's over. That game's over. We got to move on to the next thing. He's like, I think you should do it again. I'm like, well, there's no time better than now. I'm single. At the time, I'm like, I don't have to answer to anybody. Got my daughter, but I could work around that. And so got with the coach I'm with now. It was like, actually, I went back to my old coach and said, hey, I'm looking to compete again. Would you be willing to train me?
The coach that you feel did a half-ass job?
No, the coach that took me to the nationals, the junior nationals.
Now, was that the same guy that your buddy had that you had asked him about?
Yes.
Oh, okay, it was.
Yeah, so I had a guy for one show in 2012. Got rid of him. I think it was 2014 or 15. Had a coach. His name was Dave. Great guy. Like, literally, and that was my buddy's coach at the time. Got me to the junior nationals. Did well. So I think it was in 2019 is when I wanted to compete again. So I was like 18 or 19, reached out to Dave, and Dave's like, well, I'm just sort of training regular people. The game's so hard, been out of the game for a little bit. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to give you 2 weeks. Let me know. You're my first choice. I know what you did for me. He's like, no, you deserve. Hit him up 2 weeks later. He's like, listen, it's just a lot of work. And I get it. It is, So I reached out to the guy I'm with now, and he's phenomenal. I mean, the coaches pros, coaches guys all over the world. So I was like, well, I'll reach out to him. What's he going to say? No? And he actually took me on. I was like, man, I feel blessed. Like, now I got to really do this. And it was last year we did a show up in Orlando, Florida. Won my class. Actually won 2 classes there. And then we went to the Masters Nationals because I'm an old guy now.
And what's Masters Nationals mean?
It's over, I believe, 35 now. It used to be like over 40, but over 30. I was 40.
So they have a weight class and they have an age class now too?
They have a national show, which is usually
changed.
down in Florida, like Miami, Fort Lauderdale area. Mm-hmm. But the Masters Nationals is usually up in Pittsburgh. This year it was in Tampa, I believe, because of all the COVID crap. So hired this guy, and I mean, like I said, we did well at Europa in Orlando, went up to the Masters Nationals in Pittsburgh, and placed top 5 there. So it's been a long road, but you know, I'm like, you know, and before I'd always get bummed out and just be like, man, I suck. Like,
You placed in the top 5,
Yeah.
and that was the Nationals, right?
yeah, and that's what my old
National
coach used to say. He's
Nationals,
like, you place top 5, man. This isn't a local show. This is nationals. Okay, whatever. And this past year when I did it with my coach now, he's like, dude, that's phenomenal. Nobody knows you. You're not sponsored. You're just John the fireman. You
Yeah.
know? Like, that's unbelievable. And you're only going to get better.
Yeah.
So
Now, when you go to like the Pittsburgh Master Nationals, how many people is that not worldwide? Is that state or countrywide?
yeah, countrywide.
And how many people get accepted to even be invited to that, roughly?
Well, you have to qualify for it, but it's really, you know, not to say I'm one of those guys, like, I don't want to go to nationals unless I deserve to be there. And that's one of the reasons I hired the coaches I have. Like, not to be, you know, inconsiderate, but I'm like, don't blow smoke up my ass. I don't want to be that guy that's like, there's 40 guys up there, I'm 40th or I'm 30th. Like, I want to be competitive. Give me top 10 or whatever.
Yeah.
So my old coach was like that. This new coach is completely like that. Like, he is not one of those guys like, I am not putting you up there because my name is on you. I'm your coach. I'm the guy that did your diet. We both do work, but if you don't deserve to be there, I'm going to tell you, you know.
But when you walk in there, how many people are there total?
Thousands.
There are
Yeah,
thousands.
the Nationals now I think is 4 days, 2 days of girls stuff, 2 days of guys stuff.
Why? So what I'm trying to say is, so in the country,
Yeah.
there's however many people trying to get to Pittsburgh.
Uh-huh.
How many people in the United States get invited to go to Pittsburgh?
It could be, I mean, it just depends because
Like in your class.
Yeah,
in
my
the class
class-
that you were in.
like in my class this year, or when I competed last year, well, I think there was 35 plus people
35 in the whole United States, and you were one
in
of
my
them?
class. Yeah. So just to be there,
That's pretty.
step- yeah, and I'm going there with the mindset of, you know, you're here to win. You know?
Yeah.
Like, I don't go to someone just like, hey, I'm not one of those guys like, hey, I just want to go there and step on stage.
You're not one of those people now where, like, everybody gets a trophy.
Yeah.
That bullshit.
I'm
that they
competitive,
go.
so it's like,
Yeah.
hey, I want to go there and do well. I don't want to embarrass my coach. I don't want to embarrass me. I don't want to embarrass my family. Like, I'm going there to win. If I win, awesome. If I don't, okay. You
Now,
know?
are these before Pittsburgh?
These are,
So the one on the left here.
yep.
When was that?
That
one?
was, I believe that was the Orlando show. So
2019.
2019, last year. So, like, the picture on the right was my first week of ever, you know, in the blue underwear there, you know. And that was,
So in the blue underwear, okay.
that's when I signed on with my coach, and he's like, send me pictures.
Okay, now how long from the blue underwear to
I
the
think
black
we did,
underwear?
as far as diet-wise, I think we did 20 weeks. 20
Did you
weeks.
like that?
Yeah.
And, okay, now what's that 20-week diet like? I mean, so like give me like Monday and Tuesday of what you would eat.
Pretty much my diet was the same. I mean, like, the first couple weeks it was always the same. Like, all right, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. All right, let me see how you look, you know, after that. But, like, in the morning I do, you know, 12 egg whites, cream of rice. Next meal is chicken and rice. Then you had, you know, beef and rice. And it's monotonous. But my coach was always switching things. Like, okay, that worked. Let's pull a little bit out. Let's see if you get leaner. Okay, you got leaner. Okay. Then as I get too lean, be like, okay, let's put more back in, you know? So I got to say that, like, I would wake up near the end, my last probably 6 weeks with this coach I have now, and every day was different. Dude, it was literally,
Yeah.
I'd be on cardio at 5 in the morning, 5:30 in the morning. Hey, what's your weight? This is my weight. Okay. Did you send me pictures? Yep, sent you pictures. Okay. I'll be with you in like 15 minutes.
So and then how often, like, were you eating every 2 hours, every 3 hours?
About every 2.5 hours I was eating.
Like clockwork.
Clockwork.
Okay.
On the, like, alarm set, you know. If it
Yeah.
went 3, it was like I had to eat. Like,
Yeah.
there was no, you know, I'm a little hungry. I'm going to eat or I'm going to pass out. Most of the time. But he did actually, you know, in the beginning was like pull food away. But then as I got leaner, it was like he kept adding food. I'm like, I mean, so some days I was just like, this is disgusting.
Now, were you allowed to eat steak, or was it basically chicken, rice, fish?
Chicken, rice. Like, my proteins were always chicken, egg whites, fish, usually like a salmon or something like that. It was a little bit more fatty. I'd have that at the end of the night, like just salmon. No carbs.
Rice. No
carbs. My last meal. He would throw in like lean ground beef. Like, they have this, you know, I'm not sponsored, but skinny beef, bison, stuff like that. Like, high quality.
Yeah.
But it's high protein, low fat, lower fat than just like regular ground beef.
Now, how much would you say you spent on, because you're eating because you have to eat such a strict diet.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you have to eat such high quality stuff in those, let's just say the 20 weeks. Let's just say a week. How much do you think you're spending on groceries a week?
Felt like I was going to Costco like every other week, man. But you know what? I don't, like, now I'm eating less food, you know, just because I'm eating 4 big meals. You know, I'm not eating 6. But, I mean, I'd probably spend money, but, like, right now it's, like, different because I go out to eat, you know, and, like, have sushi. Okay.
But, I mean, like, in that 20-week time period, like, what were you spending?
$2,000.
In that 20 week,
Yeah.
a couple thousand?
Yeah.
And then how much is it to have a coach like him?
You know, all coaches are different. He's...
Or I would just say, like, average, you know, so you don't want to call him out.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, it's probably $2,000, depending on how long you do it. You know, like 20 weeks might be $2,000. You go longer, it's longer, you know. But I would say probably $100 a week is on average of what. Now, some guys are just astronomical and, you know.
Just through the roof.
Yeah. Like, is it worth it? I don't know.
And
my coach, I think he's worth, no doubt. And I've referred good friends to him that, like, I could say my girlfriend's with his wife, who does all women. My coach only does guys. He doesn't cross that border.
That's his lane, and he stays with it. Yeah.
He's like, I do guys. I don't be unprofessional. I don't want anybody, you know. So his wife does the girls. He does guys. And everybody that I know that's used him personally, like, loves him. Now, there's pros that, you know, they think they can be better and go somewhere else. And like you said, that's on them. You know?
Like, a professional coach can be anywhere from 2,000 and up for 20 weeks.
Oh, yeah. Easy. I mean, some of these guys are 10,000.
For 20 weeks?
Yeah.
Damn. Plus your food.
plus your food.
supplements.
Yeah. Plus whatever.
Now, are you taking, like, protein shake and stuff like that, or did he keep you away from the protein shake?
No, he would have me, most of my diet, like, usually after my workout would be a high quality protein shake right after, just to refuel you and get the protein in. And then, like, an hour after that would be, you know, beef and whatever, or chicken and whatever. So
now, because there's so much fake protein shake out there that we both know exists.
Oh, he knows. Yeah.
And not that anybody's sponsoring you, just that if somebody's watching, so they take, what protein shake did he recommend to take? I'm trying to think what he, you know, I do True Nutrition. They're out of California. There's nothing fancy about them, but it's legit.
They're high quality.
And that's called True Nutrition?
True Nutrition.
Yeah.
TrueNutrition.com. Like, what I realized during this prep was, like, whey protein made me bloated and gassy. So I went to, like, a beef protein. So they got every protein you could think of, cold filtration, this filtration, that, you know.
Yeah, so so there's whey protein, and there's, like, isolate protein, and then what the hell is the difference between all of them?
Your guess is as good as mine.
So which one made you puffy?
Whey.
Why?
Because it's more dairy based.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I went to a beef, which was just obviously like it is, beef protein.
Yeah.
Because I was already eating beef, and it made a world of difference.
So the whey made you puffy.
Yeah, and he's like, if you can get with whey, cool. If you can't, go to the beef. You know.
So
Cool.
you used True Protein, the company.
Yep.
And you got their beef protein.
Beef protein.
Shake,
Yeah.
And it didn't make you puffy at all.
Nope. Easy digested. For me, I'm not saying like. And then they got, your cheaper proteins all the way up to, and you could buy it by the pound. Which that's what I liked was, you could do 2 pounds of 5 different flavors and get 10 pounds.
Right. So you kind of don't.
Wasn't just like, okay, let me buy this 1 5-pound jug and like, okay, chocolate for 5 pounds.
Yeah, and that gets real sick.
Yeah, you can be like, okay, this one's banana, this one's whatever.
Were you only taking 1 shake a day, just
pretty
after
much
the workout?
Yeah. So it was just more of like a refueling, recovery thing. But then it was 6 meals a day. I think my last meal was at 11 o'clock at night. I'd eat, go to sleep, wake up at 4:35 in the morning. Damn. So you lose a lot of sleep, but it was like I'd catch naps,
Yeah.
So it is hard for guys that have, what my occupation is, being a firefighter. Like, I have the days off, so those 3 days off is a little easier than my days at work. But yeah, I mean, the guys that do Monday through Friday, Monday through Saturday jobs, I mean, that's a whole different toll.
Yeah, right. Then you were doing cardio too?
Cardio in the morning. That's just the way I chose it. I got up, did my, supplements and stuff, and went out, did cardio in my garage most of the time on the treadmill, came in, started eating meal 1 by 6:30.
So you do cardio on an empty stomach?
Yeah. Okay. That's just the way I like doing it. It's the way he liked me to do it. It's what worked best for me. It's what I've always done.
Obviously.
Yeah. So, some guys, luckily, I guess I'm blessed. A lot of guys say, like, I got away with just doing cardio in the morning. Some guys had to do cardio in the morning and then work out in the evening and then do more cardio.
Yeah, I've heard guys doing it 3 times a day.
Oh, yeah.
I get that's just the metabolism thing, right?
Oh, absolutely. And, it depends on how fat you got in the off season or how out of shape. And for me, I've always been a lean guy, like I said, so I drop weight quick.
Yeah.
Like the little cardio I do now is just to keep the water down and bloated down and, keep it motion.
I remember seeing you when you were doing it, and like every week you look different.
Oh, yeah.
Like sometimes you'd be bigger, smaller.
Yeah, and that's one thing. Like,
also more miserable than others.
Yeah, and that's one of the things. Like with my coach now, like, I mean, we were checking in every day because he's like, you're not one of those guys that can leave for 3 days because you're gonna disappear. Like your body weight's just gonna be way too light.
Yeah.
So he's like, I might do a couple days and he'd be like, okay, I'm gonna feed you more. On leg days I would eat like cheat meals and stuff like that just to keep the weight on after a heavy workout.
He sounds like a really good coach. Really on top of it.
Yeah. If anybody's interested, want to check out his webpage, a lot of the pros know him. I'll give him a shout out. If he wants to yell at me, he can always yell at me.
Yeah.
But AJ Sims, he's out of Orlando, and his Instagram's at Cement Factory.
At Cement Factory, and his website's AJSIMS.
That's his name, yeah. So if you go on Instagram and just type in Cement Factory, it's the first guy that pops up,
And he's got his website there.
Yeah.
So at Cement Factory, CEMENT.
Yep.
FACTORY.
You got it.
My grammar's got better.
And like the funny thing is like I show buddies and they're like, "There's no way that's real."
Yeah.
And he gets it all the time, and he's like, "Listen, man, people don't have to believe me. I don't care."
Yeah.
He goes, I'm not here to crop pictures and delete, do this. And he's like, I don't have time for that. I am what I am. So, and I think a lot of people are now, he's getting the respect, and he's always been in the industry. He's been with some big pros, and people are hearing the name more and more. So I think
he's starting to get to that level where he can kind of pick. It seems like he was already picking and choosing who he wanted to deal with, but now he really can.
Yeah, I mean, I had to go through an interview process. Like, okay, what's your goal? What do you do? Okay,
We don't want to waste his time.
Because there's so many. Like, guys always ask me at the gym, man. You know how it is. Like, hey, give me your diet. I go, my diet's not going to help. I'm a skinny guy, by heart. I'm a skinny guy, so I need a lot of food. If I gave you my diet, you're going to be not
It
to
might
be
be
rude, but you're going
might
to be fatter than
right.
you are now.
Because not everybody can eat rice 4
Yeah.
times. I remember when I saw you and I asked you, and you said you were eating cream of wheat
Yeah.
and rice. I said, you're eating rice before,
Oh.
you know, because it just has, you know, you as a person, me who's not like a bodybuilder like you have this like almost like stereotype where like you can't eat rice,
Yeah.
you can't eat cream of
Oh,
wheat,
yeah.
white rice and brown rice. By the way, I ask you this because I have a marketing company,
Yeah.
and a lot of it's I deal with a lot of overseas guys for some things I need help with, and this is what they told me. And now this is what they're telling me.
Yeah.
Is that brown rice and white rice? There is no brown rice and white rice. There's white rice, and they color basically or genetically modified over here and call it brown rice, but it's just white rice. And these are people in countries that every meal they have rice.
Yeah.
And multiple countries have told me there is no such thing as brown rice. Do you believe that?
I believe it only because...
Or have you heard it through the grapevine in your industry?
I've heard it through the grapevine. I hate brown rice. I just hate the way it tastes. It's like I can't eat it plain the way he wants, you know. Like if I eat brown rice, it's got to be like smothered in other stuff. Teriyaki sauce, this and that, which is all bad.
But I mean, do you think there's any difference as far as...
From what I've heard...
Simple carb, complex carb, and
the way it's all genetically modified now, it's...
And simple carb is basically it turns to sugar quick.
Yeah.
And a complex carb slowly breaks down so you don't get an insulin spike. Right?
Yeah. And the way he looks at it is like, I want it to, you know, people are like, well, white rice hits you so quick and, you know, and he's like, yeah, I want it to hit quick. If he's eating an hour from working out, I want it to hit him quick. I want him to burn it off and we go to the next meal. You know, I don't want it sitting there. Now, there's some guys that just maybe don't like white rice and he might go, because I know when I started with him, he was like, hey, you pick. I don't care. It's all the same to me.
Yeah. So,
you know?
So on this end, I always heard like grilled chicken, green vegetables, and oatmeal.
Yeah.
Were you eating oatmeal?
I didn't eat oatmeal only because that's one of the great things. Like when we first started, he made me do an allergy test, like a food allergy test. So there's a place out of here in Fort Lauderdale. You can just literally, they send you a kit. You prick yourself a couple times, put little drops of blood on this card, send it off. You know, how accurate it is, I don't know. He believes in it, but it literally showed like oatmeal I was like highly allergic to. Not that I break out in hives or, you know, stop breathing or anything like that, but it literally was like, it just doesn't agree with you. It bloats you, gives you gas. All things you don't want when you're trying to get really lean.
And how do you get that test done? It's just called an allergy test?
Yeah, it's a food allergy test.
Food allergy test.
And they test...
Holy shit, and it shows up oatmeal?
Yeah, I think Life Extension. If you Google Life Extension, they're like, they sell vitamins and stuff like that. They're out of Fort Lauderdale. They do, the one I did was like 200 foods. They have one that's even like 500 foods or something.
Wow.
Like if you're really in depth. But I just hit the main food. So it's like, it does green vegetables. It does different meats, different, like the eggs, all the different carbs.
That's awesome. Is it expensive to get done?
I think it's like, when I did it, I think it was like $200.
Wow.
So it's worth it because that's one of the things, like even people ask me, I'm like, well, you know, because they'll say, oh, well, when I eat this, I get like bloated. Okay. Did you do an allergy test? No. What's that? I don't have allergies to it. I'm like, well, and like he said, you know, it's more of that thing that it's not that you stop breathing or get hives or like you think of like a bee allergy. It's more of when you eat that, your body holds water. It doesn't digest as well. So he's like, we want to pick foods that for you digest quickly.
So that test would be good for just the average person.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, like my girlfriend, I don't know if she did it, but she knew. She's like if she eats anything rice related, it just kills her stomach, you know?
Wow. So
she went to more of like the oatmeal, and she's okay with that. So I'm like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
That's what just shows like everybody's different. Like for my green vegetables, I literally ate asparagus. Like broccoli gives you gas, like most people, but you know, egg whites was okay for me. But all the meats were fine. It literally shows you like what you should stay away from.
That's awesome. That's
for
really cool.
you know, like for inflammation, for digestion issues, for bloating.
So that test would be good for anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's like so many people are like, I don't know why. You know, I'm eating healthy, but I'm not losing weight, or I'm bloated, or whatever. Well, it could be something that you're eating. Like, and that's what my coach said. He goes, you don't know how many bodybuilders, pro bodybuilders I've had that did this, and they're like allergic to chicken.
Yeah.
Which is, you think of bodybuilder, chicken. You know, he said it's not. We just had to replace it, like with fish or turkey or something else.
And then what supplements were you taking preparing for the Pittsburgh show? I mean, the protein shake, I know.
Yeah.
Were you taking like a bunch of vitamins and everything else?
BCAAs, so branched chain amino acids, essential amino acids, multivitamins, all types of like natural, like just over-the-counter pills and stuff like that. I mean, he has a whole slew of when you take it, why you take it. I mean, like, it helps with digestion. It helps with this. It's going to help with inflammation. It's going to help, you know.
What would you say were the main ones that you took that you were that
for the bodybuilding side was your essential amino acids, your branched chain amino acids, obviously your protein, creatine, glutamine.
He did have you on creatine?
Yeah.
All the way to the end?
All the way pretty much to the end. And the creatine was only done once a day, pre-workout. That's it.
Plain creatine, not with the sugar.
Yeah, like I would throw it in my pre-workout shake that I make. You know. I didn't. You know, one thing I learned was you buy these pre-made and who knows what's in it. You know, there's a lot of caffeine. Oh, man, I feel great. Well, yeah, it's caffeine and this. You know, of course you feel great. You could buy that for $4. But so the pre-workout stuff that I took was pretty much his concoction, and you had it weighed out. He had certain amounts you took, and, you know. And those would all change too. Like, hey, as we get closer, we pull some things out. So he definitely knows
what he's talking about.
Yeah, he's not just one of these guys at the gym like, oh, this is what you do.
Now, with the supplements, did you also get those from True Protein, or they're just strictly
a lot of them from True Protein? The stuff that they didn't have, I honestly, Amazon.
Really?
And just like bigger names that I knew
were that likely were to be.
Yeah, like all the bodybuilding
fake,
stuff pretty much was from True Protein, like the amino acids and all stuff like that, protein, the creatine, glutamine, all that stuff. But more of the multivitamins and, you know, things that anybody should be taking, like not just bodybuilders or athletes. Those all came from just Amazon. The way this day and age is, like,
it's just
I don't even know who goes into GNC or anything.
Yeah, I don't know how they're still in business, to be honest with you, especially with their prices.
Oh, I know. And it's like, you know, what do I have to wait? Day, maybe 2.
Yeah,
you know,
Amazon's. I bet. They destroyed. The U.S. Postal Service should have never made that deal. Boy.
Yeah. I mean, because
I think that was a 10-year deal.
You order early enough, it's there same day.
And they're dealing with the post office.
Yeah,
and I don't think they realized how big that they were going to get. And, you know, so when you see that they're negative.
Yeah, and I saw like what they're planning on doing in the next couple of years, like doubling that. So I'm like, who even goes to the store? Yeah, right. You know, I'm like, I could just go on Amazon and put it in, and I'll find 100 companies that have it. Yeah. So I try to always ask he has a list of like the ones he likes, because he's very natural, I want the highest, quality. Not always like, hey, what's the most I can get for my money, but what's the highest quality? Highest quality one. Yeah. And then, so when you're going through this, all this emotional toll is taken on you, physical toll. How would you say you stayed motivated to continue? Because this isn't a week thing, a month thing. I mean, this is a long thing. And then even when you're done with the show, if you decide you're going to do another one, now you have off time, but you still got to stay somewhat fit. Otherwise, it's going to be a nightmare getting back into shape. So how would you say you stayed? I mean, I know you're very competitive and everything else, but still, I don't care how competitive you are. I mean, it's tough. Playing basketball or football, okay, you shoot 10 gazillion, free throws a day and whatever. But this is diet, exercise, strength. Yeah. How would you say you stayed motivated throughout this process that takes such a toll in so many different ways? Well, I mean, like it just wears on. I mean, it's a mental wearing, But for me, honestly, like my coach knows. Like there'd be days I'm like, I look like crap. What am I doing? And he'd be like, keep grinding. We're good. You know? Or he'd be like, you can do it. Yeah.
So you're basically saying your coach kept you motivated?
Coach, friends, guys I trained with. I mean, you and I, you know, I would always say, you're like, dude, like I could feel like absolute dog crap. Walk into your office and you'd be like, dude, you look ridiculous. And I'd be like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I guess I'm on the right path. But
little things like that will keep you going, right?
Yeah, my coach knows. Like he would say, cover every mirror. Like if that's what you got to do, cover every mirror in your house. Because I would look at myself. That's how crazy and quickly you change. Like in the morning, I'd be like, man, I'm shredded. Veiny, shredded. Like I'm on target. 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I look like a fat slob. And I'd be like, what am I doing here? What am I doing? And he'd be like, you're good.
Right.
Just don't even look.
Now, after Pittsburgh, what happens with that?
After Pittsburgh, we, you know, like I said, we took 5th place. I was happy, you know. Like I said, when 40 guys show up that are supposed to be 40 of the best guys in your weight class in the country, it's a pretty good feeling, you know, top 5. So
yeah, I mean, I'm not blowing smoke up your ass because you're in there, but you got to think. I mean, not many. This is in the United States.
Yeah.
I didn't know if it was just like the East Coast or whatever. I mean, in the United States, you placed 5th in Pittsburgh with no sponsorships. Bro.
No sponsorships. First time.
I didn't know that, John. I didn't know that.
Nobody
I knew
knows
what
me.
You placed, but I didn't know that it was the country.
Yeah, and my coach, you know, probably a little stressful for me because my coach wasn't there, which he's got so many athletes that he can't be at every show for everybody. He was planning on being there. I think there was like originally 5 or 6 of us going to do nationals, masters nationals, and then 2 of us ended up doing it actually because some guys bailed out or had some issues. And so he's like, you know, I got this other show. I think he had a pro in another show, so he couldn't be up there. So it's, for me, that's like stressful, but
right. Because you want him to be there almost kind of like as like a father figure. Because you kind of
we're some of the biggest babies. I'm gonna be honest. Like bodybuilders, as big as they get and as tough as they like, we're still could be babies, man. We are the biggest whiners too. Let me tell you.
but I mean, also just because you went through 20 weeks with him, you're constantly, I'm sure, like trying to impress him. You know what I mean? And then probably I could see why you would want him there.
Yeah. I mean, it's support, you know, like if he's there, like, okay, we're going to do everything. Not that I say I did everything he said, but it's just stressful. You're in a different location. You know, my first show with him, I was only 2-3 hours away.
Yeah.
You know, from home. And that's his home. So I was like, okay, we're in a comfortable spot. I'm still in Florida. You know? Yeah. But then you travel and you're taking a plane and you got to find a place to stay and food and it's just all this stuff going through your head, and you're like, oh, dude.
I just got to hear this one more time. So even after placing 5th, you don't make any money.
No money.
Did you get a trophy for 5th?
5th, got a trophy. Yeah, this show gave out medals.
Okay. So for let's say 5,000 in coaching.
Oh yeah.
Another 3,000 in food.
Oh yeah.
Let's say 100,000 in headaches and emotional.
I will tell this. Like I get guys at the gym all the time. Like, yeah, I'm going to do this show. I'm going to be turned pro. I'm like, listen, I don't even know what to tell them. Like, I don't want to beat down their self-esteem, but I'm like, you got to be realistic. You know, if this is your first show, chances are you're probably not going to be a pro. You may. I mean, there's genetic freaks out there all the time. I got a buddy that's like that, you know, and I'm trying to get him to compete again, you know, but so many people think that I'm going to just do this and this. It's like any sport. Okay, you may have been great at high school football. College is a whole new level. Pro is another level after that.
Right, that's what I was going to ask you. Is this kind of like a pro bodybuilder? Is it kind of like somebody who's breaks every record in high school, gets to college, and then he's just praying and hoping he gets drafted? Is the bodybuilding kind of similar to that?
Yeah, I mean, there's guys I know that are, you know, pro physique guys and pro classic physique they have now and pro bodybuilders.
Yeah.
And they struggle, man. It's not like you're a pro NFL player.
Yeah.
Your minimum is going to be $1 million a year.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. So when you become a pro, I mean, how much can you make being a pro? I understand these big, huge guys like Ronnie and Ronnie Coleman and guys like that. But, you know, if you're at the bottom of the totem pole, but you're a pro, without endorsements, what do you think they make roughly?
Honestly, it depends on how many shows you do.
Is that what it comes down to?
You look at even some of the biggest shows. I don't even know what the Olympia is this year, which is the biggest. You know, winner may win. I don't know. Let's say it's 250,000. Second's like 100,000. Third, 50. Fourth, here's your 10. Fifth, 5,000.
And the rest.
And after that, here's your
nothing.
$1,000. So that probably didn't even cover your travel.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And that's what I always try to tell guys that are listen, do this sport or any sport or whatever it is, like what you do, what I do, you know, do it because you love it.
Yeah, don't do it for the money.
Yeah, if you're doing anything for money, you're probably going to be brokenhearted.
I agree. I agree with you.
I mean, I don't care if you're a painter. Paint because you love it. Like, don't be like, well, painting makes a lot of money. Well, yeah, some do.
No, I
Not all.
I couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah.
So before we move on to the next thing, just to give another shout out to your guy, AJ Sims.
AJ Sims.
At Cement Factory.
At Cement Factory.
And True Protein. Hopefully they'll throw you a check. Which they won't. You know damn well.
If you need any connections, you know.
If you need pressure washing, let John know. Yeah. We're going to get to that. So now the other part of your life is that you're a fireman.
Fireman.
Which is bodybuilder and fireman. I mean, in a way that they go together. And the first question before I'm going to
stereotypical.
Yeah, right. The first question I'm going to ask, which is funny, before I get into how did you end up being a fireman and everything else, the stereotype, right, is that all firemen are hot from women. You know what I mean?
I don't know.
I mean, they hear fireman and they think, oh, he's hot.
Yeah.
Do you see that a lot in that industry?
I think there's definitely. Like you said, in that industry, like...
Because I know, remember I came
women are attracted to cops, some, and then there's some that are firefighters, like, oh, he's the guy that rescued my dog.
Because remember I came to you, and there was this guy saying that, oh, yeah, I'm a fireman, and I know who John, I always mess up the name, Meunier. For the record, if you see it on paper, it does not... it's not spelled like
trust
Meunier.
me. That's you know how many people call me a week?
Yeah. But remember I was telling you, and you're like, I don't know who that is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So do you see that in your industry a lot, like guys playing that role for women?
Yeah. Guys a lot,
So you would say
even my girlfriend, she's gonna hate me. She's like, oh, yeah. There's always the thing like, firefighters, cheaters.
So you would say it is a stereotype that like firefighters are hot.
Yeah, listen, it's like anything.
Yeah.
Maybe there are some. Maybe there's guys that are great.
Yeah, but it is a stereotype.
Absolutely.
And
that's I think it just comes with the territory. We're always out in the public. We're always helping people, trying to do the best thing. Most firefighters are in shape and, because of the job we have to do. We're not sitting at a desk. Like, we got to climb ladders and stuff. So, a lot of guys are in shape.
Right. So now how did you? Now we went through the bodybuilding.
Yep.
Now, how in the heck did you get into being a firefighter?
Man,
all right. Actually, when did that start?
I did 4 years of college. I graduated from University of Florida, so it's not a small school by any means. Graduated from the University of Florida. I was working at a gym. I went and worked construction. I graduated with exercise sports science. I wanted to go to school back to school for to be, what do they call it? The attorneys and stuff for athletes, doing their contracts and stuff. I'm like, well, yeah, that's very rare.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to go to law school and all this stuff, whatever. So anyway, I was back home living here, working at gyms and doing whatever. And my buddy who actually helped me in one of the first shows I did was a firefighter. And he's like, dude, why don't you go into fire rescue? I'm like, well, what do I need to do that? He's like, for that, he's like, yeah, you just got to go to school. And I'm like, more school? Shit, I just did.
So you have to go back to school for that?
For school, yep.
Yeah. So what kind of training do you need to be a firefighter?
So down here, for what I did full-time. So Monday through Friday. Fire school was 3-4 months. It's pretty much a whole semester. So I did four months of fire school. Then when I was done with fire school, I applied to, actually I did EMT school first, which I did over the summer, which was an accelerated, which was like 6 or 8 weeks accelerated at the community college. After that, got into Fire Academy, which was the 4 months. And then after that, I applied to places because some places more up north, North Florida, they will hire you as like a firefighter EMT. And then they'll send you to paramedic school. More where we're at now here in Palm Beach County and South, like they want you to be a paramedic because they don't have to pay for it. And, you know, you're already past that training.
They want you to pay for to go. So you have to go to school for EMT, go to school for fire, what's it called, fire rescue.
Yeah.
And then
paramedic.
Then paramedic.
Yeah.
And how long is all that total?
I mean, pretty much the average, it's probably about year and a half, 2 years. I'd say 2 years. If you
2
do
years,
it,
yeah.
you know, you don't do the accelerated like I did and stuff like that. It's probably about a 2-year program, but, you know, like I said, I had a buddy who was helping me with my bodybuilding. He was like, yeah, man, I mean, it's great. Like the way our schedule's set up, 1 day on, 2 days off, 1 day on, 3, like my department's a little different, but he's like, and on those 2 days I train, then I go to work. 2 days off, I train, go to work, you know? And he goes, on top of that, you have time for a second job, which most of us have.
Right. Now, is that government ran or state ran or how is that ran?
The way it is down here, most of the counties have departments. And then like I work for a separate entity, which is like a city. So inside certain counties, like certain cities have their own. It just depends on how they're structured, you know. Some don't want to give up that power. So some cities we want our own fire department.
So it varies from county to county, state to state.
Yeah.
It just varies all over the place.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and like, you know, pay ranges can range from very good and that's all you have to do for a living to, man, that's not that great.
Yeah,
you know?
right.
Like, when you go into the more rural areas, it's a little different. You know, they don't, not to say they don't work as much, but they don't have the tax base like we have here.
Right.
You know? And the people that we have here, as you know,
yeah,
when they call, they want somebody there like 2 minutes.
Yeah,
they want you there before they called.
And where was your first job as a fireman? And you're just a regular fireman at this time.
I work fire rescue. Like I've only had one job.
You've only had one job, one place ever?
Yeah, I've applied everywhere. And I gotta say, like honestly, where I work, I don't want to say where I work, but
yeah.
I'm blessed because I mean my schedule is great, pay is great, you know, the people I work with are great. So where I work, it's a good area. You know, you're not dealing with a lot of crime or bad areas.
Yeah, I've heard you complain a lot, but I've never heard you complain about the fire.
I'll always complain.
Yeah,
that's what we always say about firefighters. Like, we could always find something to bitch about.
I've never heard you bitch about being a fireman.
Yeah.
Or like, oh shit, today was a nightmare. Other than the COVID thing, which I'll get to in a minute.
Yeah.
Now, how long are your shifts now? Because you were saying like 2 days on, 1 day off.
Yeah, majority of the way the fire departments work down here in the South, Florida is 24 hours on, 48 hours off.
So you go 24 hours straight, 48 hours off.
Yep.
Now, how do you do that when you're preparing for a body? Like, how do you go to the gym if you're working 24 hours straight?
Yeah, it's like the days I go to the fire department, I take that as like a day off. I still do my cardio before I go into work. I work like the next morning before I get off work. I do my cardio.
So when you're prepping for a national show, you'll go 24 hours with no cardio and no training.
Yeah, I mean you could. I mean I do my cardio while I'm at the fire department.
They had a treadmill there and everything?
Yeah, we have a treadmill. We have a gym, so we have a treadmill.
Oh, you got weights?
Stepper, some weights. Like
Oh,
you could
shit.
get a
You
decent
get somewhat
workout.
in, something in.
Yeah.
Okay, I see.
And like
But they're not all like that, though, right? All the departments don't have
No,
all
I mean
that.
I'm blessed. I'm at a department where it's an influential city, so we have the nice stations, and it is nice. And like I said, I bring all my meals, all my food. So I don't eat with the guys. I have a crew of 6 at my station, myself included, but They know, like, when I'm in prep, they don't like it, but
Yeah.
they're always like, really? Do we have to do this again?
Are we going through this again?
You're heating up fish and it smells.
Yeah.
But
did you ever open up a can of tuna fish?
oh, dude, you got to, like, there's some days when I would have to eat fish in the morning and I'm like, put it in the microwave and the guy's like, really? Dude, that's what I want to smell. I'm drinking my coffee and I'm smelling fish.
Yeah, I'm here 17 hours straight now and I'm smelling heated up tuna fish that probably stinks up the whole place.
But they think I'm nuts. They're like, there's something mentally wrong with you. Like,
right.
How do you just eat and eat again? And and I'm like, got my timer set. Time to eat again.
Now, as a firefighter, are you required to do like fitness tests? Like, do you have to stay fit?
Yeah, every year. I mean, I can only speak for our department. I don't know how exactly other guys do, or other departments do it. But every year we got to pass a physical fitness test. We pass a physical with a doctor and all that. So, and this generation is totally different than 30, 40 years ago.
Yeah.
Fitness back then was so like, whatever. If I work out, I work out. Now it's like, this is what we do. Not only just for my job, but health reasons, health benefits. Even insurances are like, hey, you get a gym membership. $10 a month.
So they do make you stay physically fit.
Yeah,
and they test to
and
see
they
if
test
you
us.
are.
Yeah,
and how if you aren't?
Yeah.
What do they do?
If they don't, if you don't pass it, or there is like some repercussions where they can, okay, you gotta go see another doctor. Do this. I'm not sure as far as that aspect, but I know some departments are like, hey, you're overweight. You gotta go on a diet or whatever.
Yeah, wow.
Because of insurance reasons. I mean, the way insurance is set up now, it's not like we're just covering you.
Plus, I mean, not to be a jerk, but if you're a slob, how are you gonna do your job right? I mean, you're not just jumping off a fire truck and standing there.
Yeah, and you
especially
said it
down here.
Yeah, and you said it perfect. Like, we're in the public's eye. We work for the citizens. They're calling us to help and help. If we get off looking like a slob, we're gonna be like, "Whoa, hell, I might as well climb the ladder."
Yeah.
Yeah. How can this guy climb? He's 300 pounds. Yeah. Not to say we don't have three big guys, but
they're fit though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to look at it like we work for the public. They pay our salaries. They're taxpayers. They pay, and it's our duty to represent that.
So, so you're paid, but you're a state job.
Yeah.
So okay, I see.
Yeah. So the state,
the taxpayers are paying you basically.
Yeah.
Now, when COVID hit, what was that like?
It's been a whirlwind for. I know not just our department, but we're a little bit more stingent. I mean, I just say that because, in a good way, we take more precautions than maybe the next bigger department. We're a smaller department, but we're always trying to, hey, what's the newest thing? But I mean, it was changing. I mean, literally like by the hour.
With the COVID?
Yeah. This is what you need to wear. Oh, no, that's not what you need to wear. You need to wear that plus this. Next shift, you'd come in. Hey, I know you were wearing this, and this, but we need to wear that. Take away that. By like weeks 6, 7, 8, I was like, I don't even know what we're doing. I'm so confused.
Yeah.
What are we supposed to be doing right now? And like every day we came in, it was but that's how it was changing. It was just like, man, this is new. We want you to wear this. This is the CDC guideline for here, And we went above and beyond the CDC guideline, like with my department, because we were just like, hey, you guys work for us. We want to protect you. As much of a pain in the ass it is, like, we all were like, oh, this is ridiculous, But, we got to go home to our families.
So one day you would go in and it would be mask, hazmat suit, shield, this, that, the other. Then the next day it would just be mask and a suit.
Yeah, then it could be like
that
well,
type of thing.
Not that mask, this mask. You got to wear this type of mask. N95. Okay, not that mask. Now we have like almost like respirators, like not
like with
air.
Like the tube. Like if you're painting something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like you're in there painting cars and stuff. You got the 2 respirators. They're good for X amount. And it's still changing. We don't know. Every time we go in, it's, okay, what are we doing? At the station, wear a mask or be in your room, or whatever.
Now, when the COVID was heavy, how many calls were you guys getting a day?
It went up. It was, wasn't that our call volume went up. It was just the time for us to do a call was longer because you had to get to a call, put the whole suit on, put the respirator mask on, you know. So for the citizens, it was just one of those things like 2 minutes feels like 10 to them.
Mm-hmm.
So now 5 minutes feels like, well, what took you so long?
What was most of the calls with the COVID?
Most of it was because in the beginning it was always, you know, if you had a cough, if you had a fever, if you had, you know.
The fire team would go there for that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because we do, not only are we fire, but we're also EMS. So we do, because we're paramedics, so we would go and, hey, I got the sniffles. Okay, well, we got to take every precaution, just not knowing. I mean, the hospitals were overwhelmed. The hospitals were overcrowded. It was intense there for a while. I mean, as far as now, it's a little bit more leveled out. But in the beginning, it was just like, what do you want us to do? People were lined up in hallways, you know?
Wow.
So now it's like, okay, we got a little bit of a grasp on this. Okay, they can test now. You know, when there was no testing, it was just, you're here.
Free for all,
yeah.
Right? And how many people in your department got it?
We're still getting it. You know, well, and the thing is, like, our department's very proactive. So I may not have any symptoms, but if my wife tests positive or a girlfriend or your husband or whatever, then they're like, hey, because you've been in close contact, you're home. And it all depends on, like, the situation. Like, you know, we always have some people like, oh, well, I went out to this, you know, event. I think this guy had COVID. They're like, well, you know, because they would give us that couple days off or 2 weeks off or whatever the standard was. And so with everybody now they're like, hey, if you've been in that situation, they're going to send you off, get tested. You know, we'll do a rapid test, or even on calls. Like, we take a patient to the hospital, you know, Mr. Smith, whoever he is, they test positive, they call us. Hey, just want to let you know that patient you had tested positive. Just, you know, keep an eye on it if you get any symptoms.
Yeah.
You know.
So do you think the people that got it in your department, do you think that they got it from going out to calls, or do you think they got it?
I think it's just both.
Just both?
Yeah. I think it was so rampant at the time in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's calmed down a little bit, but they are very proactive. So, like, if I go to work, you know, this week and say, hey, listen, I don't know, I got a cough. My captain's just going to say, okay, I'm going to call the higher ups. They may send everybody home just because those guys were around me.
Yeah.
You know, they may say, well, okay, we're just going to send these couple guys home and these guys stay because they weren't really around each other. So
now, are you a captain now?
No, I'm just a firefighter.
Firefighter, paramedic.
Yep.
Okay, so now, you know, having been through the COVID firsthand, right? And they're saying 200,000 deaths, whatever. Now, this is just what I've heard from a few people I've had in. Every time they put in the code, like every time a doctor puts a code in, the coding or whatever it's called, they get like $13,000, like $3,000 from the government, $7,000 from the Fed, $4,000 from insurance. Because you've been through it, do you think there was actually 200,000 deaths, or do you think a lot of that was marking it as COVID to get paid or to go against one of the political guys? You know, I mean, what do you think?
I think, you know, yes, there were COVID incidences, but I think a lot of the stuff, you know, what we realized was, okay, this obese person, blah, 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 you know, well, it could be COVID. We don't really know because the testing back then was so inaccurate, you know, or maybe it is, maybe it isn't. So I think it was just that game they played as far as who knows, you know. Like I said, I could go out and have a cough, and they're like, "Oh, that's COVID."
Bam,
you're COVID,
and then they count that.
Yeah, and they go, "Hey, you're COVID."
So again, from a person that was in on it, of the 200,000 that they're saying, how many do you think actually had COVID? What would you say?
I mean, my personal.
This is just your personal opinion. You're not speaking for your department or anybody. Just John Meunier, who's been on the thing. What's your opinion on that number?
I think a lot were over-diagnosed, just because they had one of those things. Like you said, people are getting paid. This is how our industry is, you know?
Okay, so I'm saying it, okay, not you. Would you say that probably half of that was COVID and the other half really wasn't COVID?
Off the people I've seen that tested positive and come back, like where they've legitimately said, hey, that person was positive, we took to the hospital. It's probably half, maybe less.
So maybe 100,000 actual cases.
Yeah.
And then everyone that you've seen get it in your department or around you, have you seen anybody die from it?
Not personally. And like me personally, like the guys I know, like barely showed symptoms, you know? They might have had like a little cough or whatever, but who knows? It could be allergies. We're in South Florida. We got allergy galore, you know?
Yeah.
So for us, it's like, but we just took those precautions.
You had to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the way we don't know. And if you don't, then you get burned on that side.
Right.
So for us, it was more of like, let's be proactive here. Hey, you got a cold, you got a runny nose, you got this, whatever it is, stay home.
I see you got to be careful with this.
Yeah.
So
it's because,
yeah.
And there's been people where I've run a call, seems fine. They do a test like, hey, that guy was positive. I'm like, that guy called us for like a hurt wrist.
So how bad do you think this really was?
Me personally, I mean, I don't think it is as bad as what they're making it out.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you're an unhealthy person, like a healthy guy like you and I, it's going to be like an allergy, cold.
And that could go for...
As long as we don't have any other dispositions.
Right, but if I get the flu and I have 13 pre-existing conditions, that could kill me too.
Yeah.
So does that mean shut down everything?
Yeah. I mean, that's, and I look at the way that, the president's got to play both sides, whoever that is now. But I think it's just one of those things like, in the beginning he was like, we don't have proof, We're going on a test that you and I could just have made up and like, oh, it's like 20% accurate. We'll see what happens. But now that it's more accurate, we've seen sort of like a decline. Like we go through spikes, but we also are in South Florida. So we got a lot of people coming down.
Yeah.
We got a lot of people.
You see New York license plates, Connecticut, everywhere.
And the more it's like every year though, man. You know how it is.
Yeah.
Come November, December, here comes the flu. It's rampant down here just because those people bring stuff. And
what do they call it? The snowbirds.
Yeah.
The snowbirds are coming down. All from up north. And they probably shot down a lot earlier this year, right?
Yeah. I mean, obviously the up north places are a lot crazier than we are here.
Now, I don't want to get you killed, right? But just not saying you like Donald Trump or you don't like Donald Trump, just without getting you killed. And if it's going to get you killed, just pass. Plead the fifth. How do you think he did handling it? From your opinion, you being in it, you running to these calls, how do you think he handled it as president?
I think for him, in the beginning, it was so uncertain.
Yeah.
We're going off something that some other country is dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden it's coming to America. I think it's, for me personally, like, I think he did a good job. I think he did what he could. I mean, you know how government is.
Yeah.
He could say, hey, I want this, and the other side says, nope, we're not doing that. The other side says, we want this, and this side says, we're not doing that. It's a shame that's where our country's, where before we always worked together. Now it's, because you're a Republican, you're a Democrat, or we're not going to agree with you.
Yeah, because if you sit here and you say, well, I think he did a good job,
yeah,
automatically you're a Trump supporter. Not saying that you are or aren't, but I mean, I'm just asking you because you hear all this crap on the news.
I think what he's done for what I do for a living, firefighters, police, I mean, I think he's done a great,
and handled it probably the best he could.
Yeah, I mean, I can only speak for my department. Like, we have enough suits. We have enough masks. We have enough masks for the patients. So we're trying to do everything we can. I know other departments that are bigger, like, they may not have the accessibility to those things. And that's going to cause them a little bit more of a headache.
Right. But from your point of view, he did the best that he could. Yeah. And then, have you ever been burnt?
No.
Never been burned, huh? No. What was the most tragic thing you've seen?
It's mainly like car accidents. We get a lot of that down here. It's Florida driving, brother.
What, 95?
95. The hardest thing I've ever had to deal with is anything kid related. It's when you see a kid that it's just because they're innocent, they don't have control of the situation. Not to say adults do either, but it's when you run calls that children are involved, it definitely hits home a lot. I mean, earlier in my career, I had a couple where drowning, stuff like that. Like, I didn't have my daughter at the time. So other guys are like, dude, really beat up. For me, I was like, I don't know, this is just what we do, And a lot of times even my girlfriend's like, you just have like no emotion,
But kind of like when you see enough of it, you kind of just become numb to it, right?
You become numb to it, but, a lot of us bring it home,
Yeah.
A lot of us, that's why that PTSD and just like the military guys, not saying we're any better than, but they have their own set and we have our own set,
Yeah.
So it just depends on who you are and how you handle stuff,
Yeah, I think the police are underpaid.
Oh,
I mean, it's just crazy. The things they got to deal with, I think they started like sometimes they're only making $30,000 a year, and the crap that they got to
totally
deal with
agree.
is just unbelievable.
I mean, I'm one of those guys like teachers completely underpaid for what they do. I mean, this is our future. Kids are our future.
Yeah.
And you're going to pay these these teachers, 20, 30 grand.
Yeah, it's peanuts.
Like they're babysitting your child for 8-10 hours a day.
Yeah.
Getting them ready for the next step in life, and this is what, and not to say like, hey.
And it's really bad down here. Yeah, as you know, like up north, I think they started at 35. I think down here they're in I think they started like 28 grand. Yeah. I mean, that's insane, man. I I understand they get the 3 months off a year, they can go get another job, but like you said, to sit there for 8 hours a day with these kids.
Yeah.
Have to deal with all that. Blah, 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 blah.
And there's
for
so
28
many more
grand
issues.
after taxes? I mean, what are you going to do?
Listen,
go get a
you
biscuit?
got a little one, but like for me, I'm like, my daughter's teens.
Yeah.
Drives me crazy after 5 minutes, but I love her.
Yeah.
But now you got 30 of those in your room.
So the most tragic thing you've seen is things that involve children.
More,
that
the drownings, the car accidents.
Yeah.
And
then what was probably the most challenging thing that you've had to do as a either an EMT part of your job or as a fireman? What was I'm sure there's been tons, but what was just one that pops in your head that was really challenging and just really insane?
I think the most challenging thing, because I'm not good at it, I'm more of like, let's just get it done, do it type guy. Let's fix the problem,
Yeah.
Let's fix it. But when you can't fix it and you got to go tell, a daughter, hey, your dad's passed away, your mom's passed away, and like I said, with
You have to do that?
Yeah. I mean,
you've had to do that?
Oh yeah, I've had to do it.
Man.
And there's been times where, hey, your son who's 2 that drowned, like, unfortunately we do everything we can, but I don't know what's going to happen.
So you actually had to go to somebody's family and say, look, your daughter, your son that's 2 years old has passed away. You had to do that?
Yeah. I mean,
that's tough.
The issues we have down here. I mean, I'm not saying this across the country, but like overdoses, it's like cancer. There's no age.
Yeah.
You could be 18, 15, 60.
See, I didn't know that you guys were the ones at times that have to go report that to the family.
Yeah. A lot of times, we'll run on these guys that overdose, and it's like guys or girls, and
that will make you numb quick.
Yeah. Or you got to make a phone call to a parent. Hey.
And you personally have had to do that.
Yeah.
Wow, man.
It's us. If cops aren't there, a lot of times they do it because they're more in tune to doing that stuff.
Yeah.
But we'll have to tell them, listen, there's nothing we can do.
I could.
So to hear a parent who, they may have known their kid's got an issue or this day was coming. I mean,
it's one thing to know that they have an issue, but it's another thing to say, look, the day is here.
Yeah. And nobody's ready for that.
No.
When your kid's 18, 20, 25.
That's why I think it's so insane. Not only what I think they should be paying you guys more, but you guys get a great pension and everything else. But really, the police, I mean, you have your bad one here and there, but I mean the shit that they got to deal with.
Yeah.
And
they're dealing with good, bad.
And how the hell do they know what they're walking into? And then to pay them $30,000, $35,000, and then you not only every time they go to work, they don't know if they're going to make it home.
Yep.
Right. And you got your bad ones out of the bunch, just like anything else.
Absolutely.
But the majority of them are good guys. You know, there's guys that are around me that
It's
you know,
any job.
They're really
You could have good lawyers.
they were cool
You
as hell.
could have shady lawyers.
Yeah, but I mean, just to pay them that shit money, and just on the simple fact that they got to go to somebody's house and knock on the door and say, "Hey, Mrs. Smith, your daughter's passed away, or your daughter was shot, or your daughter was raped, and we can't find her."
Yeah.
You're gonna give a guy $35,000 to do that?
Yeah.
I mean, that should be an indictment right there.
And that's why I think there's so many, you know, now that the PTSD has come not just from the soldier side, you know, all our armed forces people, but over to our side, because that stuff weighs on you, man. You go home, you sleep. Hey, babe, how was your night? Oh, it was good. Okay. Any good calls? I mean, what's good call? No call is good.
And
You know?
there's never a good
No
call.
call is good, but like,
What's the outcome of the call really is whether it's
we
good or
had
bad.
3 overdoses and 2 died. You know, you want to hear that?
Has that epidemic gotten any better down here? I mean, I know when I first moved down here 6 years ago, I didn't even know where the hell I was, you know, because I came from Pennsylvania, where I heard Pennsylvania's gotten pretty terrible now. But when I left Pennsylvania, I mean, it was bad, but not like what I walked into here. I was like, I remember the first thing I remember, I didn't even know who you were, and I was by myself, and I went into Publix. You know, a higher end grocery store down here, way overpriced, way overpriced. I mean, they'll just murder these, you know. And I'm walking into Publix again, a higher end place, Palm Beach Gardens, right by the Honda Classic where they play golf, and I must have saw 10 or 15, anywhere from 18 to 50-year-old women and men, just in one trip to Publix, my first time ever. I mean, just zonked.
Yeah.
And it wasn't zonked like drunk. I mean, it was like they've been on something for a minute.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if they're 25 or 60. I'm not quite sure. I mean, it was crazy.
Yeah.
Have you seen it gotten any better, worse?
I think,
same?
You know, where I work, it goes in waves, man. Like, we come the weekend, it's party time, you know? And
is it all this fentanyl shit, or
it's, you know,
has the pill epidemic drowned it out a little bit?
Yeah.
Because they put in that thing where they're checking.
The law is so strict, it's hard to get them. And to be honest, like, all the other, like the heroin, the fentanyl, is dirt cheap. You know, these guys can get 4 rounds of something for $20.
Yeah.
They don't know what they're getting. And that's the problem is, at least the pills, like, they're regulated.
Yeah.
You know, you buy a pill, you're like, well, that's 50 milligrams. How much is that heroin? I don't know. Could be 100 milligrams, depending on how the guy did it. Could be 2.
So it's kind of like a double-edged sword, because you make the pills so hard to get. So now what do you do? Now you want something, right? So now you go to the street, and now you're taking now you don't know what you're taking, really.
And like you said, the fentanyl it's the new one. You know, it's not new, but
I mean, have you seen it get any better? Or
we've seen it get better.
I heard there's like another fentanyl that's even stronger now.
Listen, every week.
You see it every week, too?
Yeah, I mean, we always have our consistent flow, but then you'll have, like, especially when the holidays come, you know, it's a time for everybody being depressed. Some, you know, you think it's a happy time, but a lot of people get depressed. A lot of people are off. So people do it a lot more, you know? And the problem is, like I said, it's so unregulated. You know, even though you buy it from the same guy, it could be double strength this time.
Yeah.
He doesn't know. He just got it from whoever, you know, passed it along to him. Now,
are most of the overdoses heroin, fentanyl related?
Yeah, for us.
A lot of deaths from that?
I'd say the deaths are probably down for us. Of course, we're in a nicer area, so, you know.
Yeah, right.
But I think and of course, down here, you know, they used to have a lot of rehabs. They've closed a lot of those down and got them out of there.
Because it was all fraud.
Yeah, yeah. So,
that was another
but
thing.
I think
holy shit.
with the deaths, yeah. I mean, it's down, but we still see them on a weekly, monthly basis, you know.
But you would say that the spike of that fentanyl, that thing kind of.
And you always know, like, we always, you know, get the word of, hey, last night was Friday. We had 3 overdoses. Okay, today's probably going to be a busy night.
And at the peak, how many overdoses were you seeing?
I've run 3 in the same house in the same night.
Damn.
Like, boom, boom, boom. It's like, you just
got,
saw
you
your
got,
friend.
You got to hit him with the Narcan?
Yeah. You just saw us take your friend out. And you decided, like, that's got to be good time. We're going to do that, you know? And
So
literally left the hospital and like, hey, we're going back to that same address.
So wait a minute. You go to that address. You take somebody that just OD'd. You leave, and you get a call to go back to get the second person there?
Oh, yeah.
Holy hell.
I've literally taken the same guy out twice. I'm like, dude, we ran you like 3 hours earlier.
What's he say when you say that to
He's
him?
like, yeah, you didn't run me. I'm like, no. I know. I got all your information. Yeah, I already know.
Holy hell.
You know, and the doctors get frustrated. We get frustrated because we know it's an epidemic. You know, it's
Do the
a
doctor
disease.
treat him with respect, or is just
They do. I mean, but then, you know, they get their times when they get burned out, man.
yeah?
I mean, a weekend and they see 15 and they're like, dude, come on.
yeah, like
What's going on?
yeah.
And I think the biggest thing for us is, listen, you want to do it, sit in your house, whatever. That's your deal. But when you're out doing it, driving and whatever, that's another issue.
Right.
Because that could be your kid in the car. It could be my kid. It could be my girlfriend. It could be my, you know, your wife. And they hit you. Like, now we're a little pissed.
Yeah.
You know?
You're not so kind.
Yeah.
Maybe, and that's just being a natural human being.
Yeah.
really,
and, you know, we become immune to stuff and we try to be kind to everybody. But it's like, listen, man, you took this knowing you're probably going to pass out and you drove.
Yeah.
Well, come on. Sit in your house. Who cares?
Yeah. At least do it there,
Yeah.
and we can come there, and you're not putting
Yeah.
anybody else in danger.
So that's where it gets, you know, a little burning.
Yeah. Man, you've seen a lot of stuff, huh? And then what was, you know, we talked about all this negative stuff. What was the most exciting thing as a fireman? I would say fireman.
Yeah.
Fireman, EMT, paramedic, your little 17 hats that you got. In that world, what was the most exciting thing that you've seen?
You know, I think for us, it's when people come back to the station. Like, you know, we run a call, and then like a couple weeks later, you get like a letter. These guys were great. You know, they took my husband, my wife off to the, you know, hospital. They were so polite. It's just little things like that. Like, or even at their house, like, man, you guys are great. Man, you guys came in such good time, you know?
So
it's no time different than any other call.
So it's just like a thank you and appreciating is
Yeah.
the most rewarding and not.
And we know this is our job. We get it. Like, this is
your job,
Yeah.
right? But so I guess when you get a call, there's no exciting call.
yeah.
It's what's exciting is when it's appreciated and people are thankful for the service. That
Or, you know,
did.
you've run a call, you know, and you've brought somebody back, and like a couple weeks later, they come to the station like, man, you guys saved my life.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, it's not, you know, we just did what we're trained to do and what we're supposed to do.
Yeah.
These are our guidelines. This is what we do. No, you saved my life. Like, okay.
I'll tell you what, I could see how that would make you numb.
Yeah.
And really mess you up in. I could see how that would really mess you up in a relationship.
Yeah.
And
I mean, it is tough,
I mean,
you know, like, you know, I deal with it. I know I dealt with it with my ex-wife, but like even my girlfriend now, it's just like, we might have those bad nights. I'm not going to come home and share it with her.
Right.
You know,
You
I don't
really
want to ruin
talk
her.
about it.
Yeah.
yeah.
You know, I probably need to see a therapist or something.
Yeah, right.
More.
And then
But-
so now you're seeing all this like terrible stuff, and on top of seeing all the terrible stuff, you're starving yourself to death,
Yeah.
and you can't have a French fry.
Yeah. I'm like, I'm really hungry, and now I'm even more angry.
I'm really hungry. I had a death today. I had to tell a family that they lost their kid, and now I can't even eat.
Yeah.
Just please leave me alone.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I've done that. Like, just,
Yeah.
you know, I need a day to myself, you know,
Yeah.
and just let it go through, you know?
Now I don't know how you have time for this, but now you're also opening up JNS
Exterior cleaning solutions.
Yeah, JNS exterior cleaning solutions. Yep. So you're going to do that on top of the firefighting. Are you done with the bodybuilding shows, or you think you'll do another one?
I haven't decided that. I mean,
You haven't closed the door.
yeah. You know, this year's just been so tough. Like,
I mean, you're fucking big.
well, with work, trying to like, just bought some property. Like, thinking about selling my house, building another house.
Mm-hmm.
This business, it's a lot. You know, if I can get past the holidays and then into the new year, and I think once the business starts, you know, the exterior cleaning solutions, the pressure cleaning business starts finally moving, We're probably about 2-3 weeks from starting up. I think that'll be one thing off my back. I know my partner is excited, so I have all this stuff going on. He's sort of like, hey, let's push this,
Right, but you want to do it right.
Yeah, and I know how you are. Like, okay, if you do it too fast, then you're like, hey, we forgot to do this. We forgot to do this. We need this. We don't want to jump out there and just start doing it. Like, we want to make sure it's right. And, we're professional about it. And like, hey, when you call us, like, you're getting professional group, not just, hey, just throw it together and figure it out.
So within the next month, you should be rocking and rolling. I mean, because with any business, as you know and I know, you think 2 weeks, it's just always double whatever you think.
2-3 weeks.
More like 4 to 6 weeks.
Because you're always going to have some delay. Like, we only got a couple things to do, but, they could be like, well, I can't get to it we know Thanksgiving's coming up until after Thanksgiving. You're like, okay.
But that's good, though. And that says a lot about what you're about to open is that you're not rushing to get it open in 2 weeks. If you can get it open in 2 or 3 weeks and it's right, great.
Yeah.
If it takes 2 months, but it's right, great.
Yeah.
And that's going to go far, I think, in your business because you're not going to, just like we said with the bodybuilding, you're not going to do it half-assed.
Yeah.
So when you're ready to go, it's going to be right. It's not, you're not going to say, look, I'm going to be open in 2 weeks, and hell or high water, you're going to be open in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
If it's right, you'll be open in 2-3 weeks. If not, it may be a month and a half. It may be 2 months. Now, what all are you guys going to do? And I'm sure you'll expand much further but as of now, what are you going to open up with doing?
Right off the bat, we're going to be doing like pressure washing of roofing. So your roof, your house, patio, driveways, all that stuff. Window cleaning, So if it's somebody who's just like, hey, I got people coming in for the holiday. I want my windows clean. We're going to do it doesn't sound like much, but
makes a difference. Yeah. Especially in Florida with all with
the salt and stuff we have now. Yeah. So, especially people who live on the water.
Now you'll come in and do the inside of the window and the outside of the window?
Yeah, we'll do both. I mean, most of the time they're just like, hey, we really need to get this off, Okay.
Yeah.
So like I said, we're going to do all types of pressure cleaning, the window cleaning. We're going to do paver sealing. We're big down here. It's a little different than up north, but we have pavers. So we'll pressure clean them. We'll seal them. That's good for a while. And then you reseal them every couple of years.
When you say seal them, does that mean it's like the grass doesn't grow up through them?
So the grass doesn't come through. Like we'll resand them, So like in between like the pavers we have here, there's sand. So we'll resand them. That keeps the weeds down. And then we'll seal it, which keeps that color of your bricks. Gives it a little bit of, you can make it as shiny as you want, or you can keep it dull. There's different, it's like paint.
Oh, you're going to do all that?
Yeah, we're going to do all that.
So if somebody has pavers that have grass already growing up through them because the guy that maybe did them, because down here, these contractors, a lot of them aren't always in the right state of mind.
Listen, man, I'm looking at building a house now, and it's like the biggest, I don't want to say pain, because I know once it goes, it'll be good, but just trying to pick, like,
oh, don't worry.
We're in South Florida, man.
It's going to be pain, brother.
Yeah. And it's like, well, I heard good reviews, and then you look here, that's got bad reviews, and you're like, well, I know this guy over here. And so anyway, I know it's just a headache, but hopefully a little headache.
So you will do that? So if somebody has a bunch of nice pavers, but they got grass growing up through them,
yeah,
you'll go and you'll take care of all that?
We'll do the weed killer, kill them off first, pressure clean it so it gets rid of the root and everything. If it needs more sand, because that's what happens a lot of times, the sand just gets washed away with all the rain we get. Resand them and then seal them.
And I think that a question you're going to get asked with that, and I think that might be one of your a roof will be big, especially when you guys expand to like commercial property. But when you're doing homes to start, which will probably be your thing, when you go to do the backyard pavers or the front yard pavers that just grass is coming up and they're trying to trim it down, I think the first question you're going to get, right, is do you have to dig up my pavers to get rid of this grass? Because, they lay the sand down, then they lay the plastic thing down, then they
more sand,
and then the steamroller, then the paver, and then the shit in between. And a big question you're going to get asked, I guarantee it, is do you have to dig up my pavers to do this?
Yeah. And I think one of those things is going to be, well, first we need to see how it was done.
Right.
You know, I live in a house, trust me, I've had this issue. Had a guy come, yep, pressure wash, they're gone for a while. Then we get the rainy season and the sun and all that stuff, and then they pop up like weeds, and they are weeds. Okay, I had a guy do mine.
Mm-hmm.
But I know it's like in my pavers, there's certain areas of my driveway, I have a bigger truck, so like when you drive your truck on my pavers, it sort of separates them, you know? So the more separation you got, you're going to have weeds pop through, and I've had to have a guy come in and weed them. Okay, here we go, seal them, you know?
So in other words, if you see something growing, call JNS and get it done now.
Yeah, we're trying to work with like one of my connections is a huge landscaper in the area. So he's got other tools, you know, like, hey, I got this formula, this will really kill them, you know. So it'll kill them. Another day or two, you can come back and pay, you know, seal
and then
them.
you'll seal the cracks.
Yeah,
without digging them up.
Yeah, and if it is something that's, hey, listen, this is why you're getting, you know, all these pavers over here are super tight, but over here they're maybe because you're driving a big truck or something like that that's heavy, or they just started, you know, sinking because of the structure or the concrete or the sand is washing away. You know, we're hoping to get some tight contacts where we can, hey, call this guy and he doesn't have to pull them all up, but just this area, make them tight.
Right.
Again, and then we'll seal them because we don't want to. My partner Sean, he's been in the business for a long time. He knows the industry. I said, listen, like you said about the bodybuilding, I don't want to half-ass. I don't want somebody calling back and go, well, listen, you just pressure wash. These weeds came back.
Yeah.
You know, we could say, hey, here's what I would do if you don't want those to come back, and then let them make the decision. If they just say, no, just pressure clean it, okay. Just understand those might come back. If you want it done right, we can contact somebody and, you know, have them come out and reset your pavers. Just like anything else, like, you know, I know a lot of companies will clean your roof, but they won't clean your gutters. And you're like, well, what the hell, you know?
Yeah, right.
Like for an extra, you know, I don't know. The way we look at it, we're like, it's not costing us anything because we're already up there.
Yeah.
So while I'm cleaning your roof, I'm going to wash your gutter.
So in other words, you're not going to be a Band-Aid.
No.
Yeah.
And that's the way we want to look at it is like, when you call us, like, you know, you're getting what you pay for.
Mm-hmm.
On top of that, like, we're not just get through the week, you know, here we are. You know, we're fully licensed, insured. You know, like I said, we want to do everything right from the get-go, like you said, because when we come in, we obviously being a firefighter is like me showing up at your house. I want you to feel like, man, all right, the fire department's here. I'm more relaxed. And with this business, I mean, like I said, my business partner, Sean, he's been in the industry. For me, it's sort of something more new as far as getting fully involved in this. But we want to come in like, hey, we're professionals. We look professional. We do a professional job. If you got an issue, you know, if we missed a spot, I mean, things happen. Hey, call us back. We'll come out and take care of it.
Are you going to do driveways?
We're going to do driveways. Like I said, all patios, sidewalks, roofs, gutters, your exterior of your house, the window cleaning, paver sealing.
Oh, wow. So you'll do the exterior of the house?
Yeah.
And I'll tell you from experience of seeing some things, that can make your house look brand new.
Yeah. Because, I mean, I've had it. I've learned from my mistakes of, hey, do my roof. And then like a week later when everything dries, you're like, well, what the hell is that on my side of my house? Well, it's all the dirt that washed. Like, well, you didn't tell me to do your house. And I'm like,
you asshole.
Yeah. I'm like, for a couple bucks, like, just tell me. You know, say, hey, I strongly suggest doing this,
you know, and if you do it that way, I always say, because, you know, my main thing is marketing. I do this for fun. I like, you know, I have fun sitting down talking with people and interesting people. But, you know, from my other company with the marketing, this is a competitive business.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, but you have to find a way to separate yourself from another company.
Yeah.
So why am I going to pick JNS over B&A? Well, you know, maybe a motto is we don't Band-Aid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And something like that can really set you off.
Yeah.
So what I want to do is once you're opened up, I want to bring you back in.
Yeah.
And I want to know how the COVID is. I want to know if there's a second wind coming, like they're saying, you know, because you figure probably a month it will take to get this going correctly, maybe 5 weeks. Bring you back in, ask you more about the fire department, see if you decided to do another bodybuilding show. Again, is there a second one of COVID? Has it gone down? Has it gone down since the election's over now? Well, it might be over in a month. I mean, who the hell knows?
Depends on when we do this.
Yeah. And then, you know, you can go into more detail about that because, that's another interesting thing, too. I mean, that pressure wash, and it's just how you could take, like, a house that's looks old and beat up, bam.
Yeah.
You can make it look brand new, your driveway, everything else. So, I mean, that's cool, and you can promote your business on it.
Yeah.
But also, ask interesting questions about it, along with everything else I want to ask you.
Bring it all.
So that's what we'll do.
Yeah, I'll bring my partner in. And
bring
he's
Sean
more the hands-on guy.
Yeah.
I'm more of like how you said, you're a marketing guy. I'm like, obviously use all the expertise I can get from you. And I'm
bring him in because
he's more the, hey, what would you do here? Or,
right.
Yeah,
bring him in.
We're not going to share secrets. I can't let him.
Bring him in. He could sit there and then, I could see how he got into it. You know what I mean? And then not only will it be just new content and diverse, it will also help you because, well, how did he get into it? How did he get so good at it?
Yeah.
Blah, 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 and get some background from him and what he does and how he does it.
No, absolutely.
So thank you, John, for coming in. And,
hey,
man, you are a man of many hats. And ending, the picture there with you with, who's that, the Hulk?
Yeah, I don't even – that was out in Cali. So I'm like,
now that's one guy who's a little bit bigger than you.
Yeah, I was like, man, I felt big until I saw that guy.
What do you weigh right there?
I was that was right after one of my shows, and I sort of did the fat boy rebound,
Yeah.
So I think I was like 225, 230.
What do you think the Hulk weighs?
Oh.
With what would that be? About a 700-pound dumbbell in his hand?
I'm like, I wish I was this big.
Yeah.
I was like, can I actually get this on my plane?
Well, I think he ripped his shorts in his right knee because his legs are so damn big. And
I wish I was that big.
That will be the logo, or that's maybe or maybe not?
No, that's our logo. We have that in black, white. Hopefully, like you said, we'll do a follow-up, but then once we're done, once we get rolling and stuff, we'll have the full truck,
That's a cool logo.
Yeah.
I
mean,
like
like
it a
I
lot.
said, one thing I said, if we're going to do this, we're going to just go all out.
Yeah. Either do it or don't do it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to have to add, and listen, we all learn from things, but I think it'll be a good thing that, like I said, her brother has that experience. I'm more on the learning from you and the marketing side. So, I play with enough hoses and water. I don't want to, let him do that.
All right. So I'll be back in when you have that opened up and we'll catch up and you'll bring Sean in and it'll be great.
Yeah.
All right, John. Thanks for your time.
Appreciate it.